Okay, and just for those who are just arriving, just to let you know how this webinar will work, Marco will be presenting with the Q&A period toward the end. There is a chat message box that you can use to ask questions during the webinar. Just by scrolling to the bottom of your screen, you will find that. And okay, we're 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock on the hour. Let's get this started. My name is Joel. I am the founder of the Bamboo Collective, which is a personal growth and development tribe of people, and of which Marco is a part. And he is here today. One of our goals in this tribe is lifelong learning. And what we're going to do today is learn a bit about landing page optimization, the fundamentals and principles for e-commerce businesses. Marco is an expert in PPC and landing page optimization. And yeah, he's going to take us through how this all works with a focus on e-commerce businesses. I won't say more. Marco, from here, take us away.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Joel. And yeah, welcome everybody to join this webinar. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you watch this webinar and in which time zone, of course. Today's topic is going to be about landing page optimization, especially targeting towards e-commerce. So I will be talking about the fundamentals and the principles of it today. My name is Marco Julian, and let's get started. Today, what I'm going to talk about is I will talk a little bit about Wonder Ads, the agency that I'm operating. Then we dig directly into the fundamentals of landing page optimization. We talk about how to gain trust and overcome anxiety of visitors, which is a very important factor in order to convert them into sales. I'll be talking then about a few hand-curated principles of persuasion. Today, I won't have the time to talk about all of them, but I picked out some very great ones. Then we go into a more practical part where you can have some takeaways and actionable steps, which will be dedicated landing page design. We talk here about the best practices that you can use. And at the end, to round it up, the famous A/B testing and what you can test and how you can approach it before we then go for the ones that are staying throughout the webinar to get a free bonus offer, especially for e-commerce owners. And your questions also will be answered in the Q&A later. Okay, cool beans. So Wonder Ads, we're basically operating with an e-commerce background. We have been selling online for quite a while. So what would we want? This whole project is 100% focused on PPC and landing page optimization. We focus on a data-driven and result-oriented process and approach. And I am based, or the main part is based here in Taiwan and Taipei, but we also work with teams in the States for the PPC part and with the optimization parts in Europe together. So here are the founders. That's on one hand, it's me, Marco Julian. I am an e-commerce business consultant. I am Google certified, and yeah, in my past career, I've been a marketing specialist for numerous startups and corporations, whether they are based here in Taiwan or internationally, like in the States. Shireen, the co-founder, she is also co-founder of an executive recruitment agency, and before that, she worked for Fortune 500 IT company, Fuji Xerox. So she is more in charge about the business development. Cool beans. Yeah, so here are a few of our clients. Cyberlink might be the most famous one. Then we have another few, yeah, from all sorts of backgrounds. E-commerce businesses mainly. And now I want to dig into my passion project, what we have done in the past with PriceSight, that's a local-based NGO focusing on charity work for supporting children education, especially for children which are from orphanages or for like indigenous tribes which have some disadvantages here in the society. So They're doing projects to support them and to educate them. And Wondereds is a proud volunteer partner. We have together applied for the Google Grant program, which is a $10,000 funding each month for Google Ad spend. We got successfully approved in this process, and yeah, so we help them to optimize and manage their campaigns, doing that on a volunteer basis. Okay, let's dig into the fundamentals of landing page optimization right away. So the first question is why we need landing page optimization. Here, the thing is that we have in total, when you look at e-commerce growth, you have 4 levers that play a significant role in it. And a lot of people are always getting stuck in the mindset of just focusing on one, which is traffic, whether they're driving it with SEO, organic traffic, or with pay-per-click and whatnot. But key part is that after an initial growth period, eventually every e-commerce business will hit a plateau. And to overcome this plateau, you also have to focus on other levers, which I've indicated here. The other levers are conversion rates, frequency, as well as average order value. And just to give you an example here, by taking the same traffic, we just improve the other levers with 30%. And as you can see, the total revenue will be more than double just by focusing on those other levers. So yeah, that's basically one thing to take care. And landing page optimization is also mainly targeting towards the other levers, especially on the conversion rates here. What is a conversion rate? It's not necessarily a sales, but in e-commerce businesses, the primary conversion rate is usually a sale. It is measurable, it has a clear value on it, and it's an important action that leads the visitor to take revenue generating action on your site. It could also be an email sign up, like a newsletter or so, for example. Another definition is the conversion rate is the percentage of visitors who start and complete a desired action. So there won't be a perfect conversion rate, never. That is a misassumption. There are just visitors that are more suitable for you, that are, and some are not. Like a lot of people or visitors are just in a way for checking for some information, for example, they're mainly browsing. But I will dig into that in a few slides into the different stages of customer journey. But here I just want to define that the conversion ceiling is way below 100%. There are 3 types of visitors, which I'll break down in the next slide and show you a graphic on that. You have the no's, the people who never afford because they cannot afford it. They're casual browsers. They might just checking for information. Then you have the yeses. They're showing a high level of commitment. They would buy no matter on how poorly optimized your website is. It is a small percentage, though. And then you have the potential maybes. They are in the market, but they are not yet 100% committed. And those are the ones that we want to target with our landing page optimization. And this is how it looks like. You have the yeses, you have the no's, you have the yes maybes, the maybes, and the no maybes. And the main focus of landing page optimization are on those yes maybes and the maybes. And as you can see, the conversion ceiling is between the maybes and the no maybes. And yeah, the rest is just not worthwhile to focus on. All right. Okay. When we look at websites, we basically have three different types. We have what we call a primary site that could be normal homepage, for example, or any page on your website. it contains everything about the business. And so normal website, it contains services, testimonials, a main navigation, and whatnot. In other words, it's very broad. You have many links as well, many chances. Like it's not very targeted. It shows you a bunch of options for visitors to select. Just to give you an example here, also with an ad, because sometimes it can make sense to even guide the traffic to there. For example, look at Macy's. Macy's, they have on this website that they target the keyword buy women's shoes online. They might have more than 300 individual links. If you then would check out the navigation and whatnot, or even up to 500 links. This is a primary website that they target. Here, there's no particular conversion action, but they want people to have in their funnel to get awareness, like they're catching people at the awareness stage to make them more familiar with their product, also with their pricing. And they just have so many products to show. So this could be a good example. In this case, like they also have a lot of money to spend. And the key to direct your traffic is basically that you have to understand from your campaigns and your conversion actions what the right campaign will be for you. Another site, so we have the main sites, now we have the microsites, which is a modified, truncated version of the main site. It focuses on a limited amount of products and services. So basically they can be used to help brands achieve a number of things. For example, some companies, like they have used them to highlight a specific campaign or target specific buyer personas, or they just want to tell a short story. In the next slide, I have a quick example of Domino Pizza, which I'm showing you here. So this is what they did for releasing the new Chewy Spark Pizza delivery card, in short, DXP. They had this microsite here where you can see it's basically integrated with a video game here. And it's a heavily interactive website that enables visitors to zoom in each of the features to gain a better understanding of the purpose and the level of thought that went into each edition. So that's an example for a microsite. And what we will be focusing more in this webinar are landing pages, or so-called dedicated landing pages, which are very focused. There's not much distraction on the website. Those pages usually show the highest conversion rates. It's very clear, like the call to action is very clear. There's no navigation bar to distract the visitors away. The text is usually bullet points, because when visitors come to your website, or especially to the landing page, they won't read. They are more in a mode of browsing through your information. So we have more like testimonials, about us blurb, for example. Visitors will feel an immediacy and urgency, and those are very important. It's very popularly used for PPC campaigns that are targeting high intent keywords. And yeah, we at WonderAds, as I told in the beginning, we focus on both. We're focusing on PPC campaigns and make sure that the landing pages that they lead to are also converted, because this is a full approach to it. So it covers the whole picture, the whole traffic funnel. And as I said, landing pages usually show the highest conversion rate. This is an example from very famous e-commerce platform, Shopify. You see that they don't have a navigation, but only the main logo, and a clear call to action here, a headline, sub-headline. And that's Shopify's landing page. That's one of them. So today, it's specialized towards e-commerce businesses. In e-commerce, we have sales as the most popular conversion. Usually for a visitor, that is also then the highest commitment when they come to your website to make that sales. And it depends really on the industry, but we say like 1 to 2% is an accepted average conversion. It could be lower than that, it could be higher, but the average is between 1 and 2%. And then we have desired conversion actions and also like KPIs basically that are relevant for e-commerce businesses. We have sales, as I told you, it takes the most commitment of users, so it's the most complicated conversion action, so to speak. It's more simple with one product, obviously, because you can focus right away, rather than focusing when you have multiple products. It's going to be more advanced. KPIs are usually we have so-called lifetime value of a user. That's important for knowing how much worth your user is down the way. Revenue per visitor, margins, and loss leaders. Loss leaders take a place if you know the LTV of your user when you run PPC campaigns. A lot of people are only focusing, for example, on the CPC, and they don't take into account that one customer eventually can bring you way more sales than the initial sales. So LTV is also an important KPI for running your PPC campaigns, because it can make them much more worthwhile taking them into account. That's the last concept in the theoretical part that I want to talk about, is the AIDA sales funnel, which is a very old proven construct. It's basically used by most of the sales teams, and we have heard about them. We have heard about it a lot in the marketing world. The different stages of your consumer journey. When people are at the first stage, in the awareness stage, they are doing the market research, or they're in the need of product. They have an awareness, in the interest stage, then they take action and learn about the product, or they even compare it to others and evaluating it. Then they create a desire, which is like an active desire to pursue the product. Those three stages are all extrinsic, and they lead to the natural result of action, which is then the transaction. In the next slide, I will go and show you how this applies, especially for the e-commerce businesses. Today's research is a little bit more complex, and it depends also, those different stages is really dependent on the sales cycle. That's the time that a visitor goes through each of those stages, and it can vary from the industry, from types of products that you're selling, from the pricing and whatnot. There are different factors that comes with it. Okay. So then there's this modified AIDA sales funnel for website visitors. This was created by Andrew Chuck. That's one of the resources from the author of the book Submit Now. So here again, we have the process, the evaluationists, the transactors, and the consumers. And the reason why this is so important to understand is because at your website, you have to basically communicate to all of those different stages and to all those users who are on those different stages. And how to do that, I will talk in a little bit more in detail. All right, let's get to the next chapter, which is how to gain trust and overcome anxiety of visitors. Okay. So to start off with a very bad example of one website, you feel, or I feel immediately, that's an untrustworthy appearance. Things are very spread out here on that site. Colors are super strange. You have a very weird person there, like it's a stock image holding this kind of sign. This very much would increase the anxiety here at the visitor or inside of me even. There's nothing really that can establish trust. Later, in the next slide, I will also show you a better example. But when it comes to trust is very tied to the limbic system in the brain. Yeah, it's anchored in the belief system as well. So people need trust, they need safety, especially also because people cannot interact with you from person to person. And it's a user's likelihood to convert is directly related on how trustworthy your site feels and appears. So it's your job to take care of that. The impression of trust and safety is formed within a second or two, arriving on a landing page. It happens really fast, and a lot of it happens subconsciously. As I just said, like websites lack the fidelity of face-to-face relationships, so you need to make everything sure. Later, I will dig in how to do that, to establish trust, to make them feel secure with elements that can do so. All right, take this great example here. As you can see, this website comes with very professional graphics. It has a clear navigation to it. It has white space, room to breathe. It has professional product pictures on it. It's very consistent. The color scheme is very consistent and not overwhelming. And the paragraphs of copy, what you can see here is very clear. It's not too much copy. It's very easy to browse or to read for the customer, for the visitor. And overall, this website feels very professional. So the keys for reducing the anxiety of the users is to have a professional and aesthetic website, to show some transactional assurances, and have some guarantees and policies. Here are some examples of them. Like very common is like having 90-day returns, 100% satisfaction guarantee, safe and secure checkout emblems, but also statements like, for example, since 1899, when you look at the Wilson leather picture, that can also, or that will also establish trust. And a good tip here, a good takeaway is that what we saw when looking at e-commerce websites, you have now the option to create a sticky USP bar on the top that will stick even if you scroll down, where you can highlight those guarantees or your USPs of your products that has been showing to also help with the conversion rates in general. Those are things that can be tested down the road. Exactly. So how can we reduce the anxiety even further? We can use some safety logos, for example, mainly in the footer. And the interesting part is that when we look at some current studies, that those safety logos is not something that people just know out of their mind. It's more like if they are not on the website, it's that something is missing and people don't even actually know what it is, but it creates this void and people feel much more safer once they're on a website. Also include them throughout your checking process. I will show you an example when they put it in the cart, just under the checkout button, which makes a lot of sense. And have some testimonials or customer reviews on your website. That also helps with social proof and whatnot. And very keen on this is like another source of this webinar, Robert Cialdini, the author of Influence and Persuasion. And I will dig into his methods later down the webinar as well. Here we have an example for safety logos. As you can see, McAfee secure, HP qualified, Norton secured, and whatnot, Google trusted stores. So all those logos in the footer, they could be a great way to reduce the anxiety. Here, what I just mentioned, also in the checkout cart, having them, they don't need to be very prompt, very subtle here. They're grayed out, which is the right way to do so. Again, people would not notice them really cautiously. It's more like a subconscious thing, but having them, not only showing them here in this example, the different payment options, but they also have like a Shopify secure at the end. All those logos really help with the conversion. And that's a great example. And then again, text, image, or video reviews here. Those are from Manta Sleep Mask, which I believe making a great job in the demonstration of this. Yeah, as you can see here, they have the customers' pictures, the reviews, and even they have a program to incentivize people to send them their videos. You can do that, for example, by offering them a discount for the next order and whatnot. There are different ways, and those reviews have a huge impact because they stimulate the social proof, and they're just generally very great practices. Okay, let's dig into Robert Cialdini a little bit more, and we talk about the principles of persuasion in this example, in this chapter. So I will focus on two for now, which is one-time scarcity and the empathy and contextual awareness of your audience. I think that's a very interesting one that I really like to dig into. Other principles, I won't go into this because it would, a little bit going further, like it would make this webinar way too long. If you have questions, you can let me know, and I can provide you some information down the road. And again, Robert Cialdini is the primary source, and I highly recommend to read this book for any marketer. Scarcity example, a classic one is here, a countdown timer, as you can see in the upper left. Scarcity is creating the sense of urgency. People rather make quick decisions than making out on a deal. They can be applied on any kinds of products or services, like physical products, lead generation campaigns. They can be time-driven as well, deadlines, like I just showed you, a countdown timer, coupon codes for early bird specials, and whatnot. Here are some examples. Here's a further example. I mean, as you can see here in the right part, above the add to cart call to action button, only 2 in stock. And here I would like to give you a little bit more information about it. It's like better be specific, be believable. Yeah, it's also part of the integrity here. Don't be vague. Don't just write limited time or limited availability. Be more specific with the deadline or the quantity. As you can see here, only 2 in stock. Don't be atypical neither. Don't put a restriction, for example, on an ebook. Don't say we have only 5 ebooks to download. Just don't do that. It will harm your trust and your integrity with your customers, especially also if you pretend, because you will hurt down, for example, recurring visitors that come a second time, a third time to your website, and if they come back and see the same thing over and over, you lose the effect of that whole promotion, and it can also destabilize your offer, which is not great for the long-term value of your consumer. So you want to establish the trust and the integrity in this. Another prime example, always looking at Amazon, which are just like the ultimo in the industry. Here are the 2-day deals where they are showing how many percentage have claimed it and when it ends. So they're making a really great deal. Another one that you can check out that you might know is booking.com. They really know their game. Another thing I wanted to mention about Amazon is like they're always great for inspirations in general. There's a lot of great things. The whole process there for landing page optimization or the whole conversion rate optimization approach is that they're always been testing, they're always micro testing things. That's also one of the philosophies of Jeff Bezos. They never made a really radical design change where they just changed the whole website, but it has been a revolutionary approach to it, and it has been changing by testing a lot. Constantly testing and optimizing is the key here. Let's go to the next topic, which is empathy and contextual awareness. Those persuasive tactics are only effective if you know your visitors, your audience, because generally when we approach it with our own personal perspective, there's a lot of times what we think about our visitors, about our audience is actually completely wrong. They completely behave differently. They look for different things that we assume. So now talking about the empathy, how can we get a better picture of those users. Yeah, like intuition and the sense of thoughtfulness are only a few ways that you can do it, but the real deal is digging into your analytic tools and look into the data in order to get a better understanding. This is also one part that we offer at Wonder Ads. Like that's actually one of our main parts is we will go and dig into the nitty and gritty parts of your Google Analytics and Google Ads account, just to point out who your audience is and how they behave. And it also helps to identify where you're leaking money instantly, and we can make better decisions for landing page optimization and the whole process from your data that covers actually a lot of insights. So you want to know, you want to be aware of your visitors, you want to understand what led them to the site, what's their background, what knowledge they have, how are they educated, where they're coming from, like how are they acquired, what are their anxieties, like what are their challenges or their wants, their dreams, their expectations. And that's also more like on an emotional level, not only on an intellectual level, because a lot of marketing happens on the emotional level. I had to put this picture in. We created a beautiful design, but the user experience is usually different. Yeah, that picture is a nice example on how it can go. So how can we find out more about our visitors? Like what do we have to look in? It's been basically the demographics, like age, gender, ethnicity, and whatnot. A good source for that is your demographic report in Google Analytics. This is how it looks like. I took this example yesterday. There's much more. This is just the overview. You can dig into the nitty and gritty parts, as I just mentioned. Then you want to also know where your visitors coming from what sources, because the behavior might be completely different if they're coming from different marketing campaigns and whatnot. Social media tends to be a little bit more like people are more curious. They're looking for more information. They're not so committed usually. PPC offers, you have a lot of control as you can target them directly. Organic traffic, you have less control, but you can then see for what keywords people are coming into your website. And email can bring a highly committed traffic, and those are people usually they signed up before, so they're already familiar with your brand and whatnot. Those sources you can check out in your demographic report. This is how it looks like. So to identify where your most traffic comes from. So when we look at user scenarios, we want to understand the personas, not only, or the user scenarios, I mean, not only the personas. They also take into account the context of their visits, so the whole user flow. It's not only task oriented, because different people will approach the same task differently. And here's a flow chart of Google Analytics, so you can analyze their consumer behavior. And again, we have like, we provide this whole funnel exploration report with Wonder Ads, where we just dig into those data and much more. It's like not only Google Analytics and Google Ads, but we also provide some SEO information, competitor analysis, and try really to understand your visitors, trying to understand your website, and identify the spots where people are, where they're getting off your website, where you lose them in your whole funnel, from the ads, starting from the ads to the checkout, and so that's called the funnel exploration report. Okay, and now a few more actionable, dedicated, like best practices basically for the landing page design. And here, keep in mind that you always want to test before implement. There are some elements that have a higher probability to work out. Some needs to be tested, because you can have like the same product, and at one website it can have completely different dynamics than on the other website. So testing is really the key before you implement, and I will get into that later on as well. Just one second. Right. So as I mentioned, when I talked about those three types of landing pages, dedicated of websites, of pages in general, dedicated landing pages are a crucial part for your marketing campaigns. They center around one specific conversion action, so it's like very, very focused. Here, it's very important to capture your visitors' attention, and you can do landing page testing easily nowadays with landing page builders such as Unbound or Lead Pages, and A/B split testing tools. There are some, just to mention, Optimizely, Visual Website Optimizer, also called VWO, or now the famous Google Optimize. So whenever you have the chance, go and test things, and make sure you also create statistical significance in order to approve those tests. That's an example of a dedicated landing page. So what are important elements? To pick a few important ones: having a clear and unmistakable headline. It is there again for capturing the attention. They should be very specific, large font size, and direct the users to take action. And again, it's about the trust and decreasing the anxiety. One of my favorite examples, in my opinion, I believe Manta Mask did a great job here. It's very short, precise, sleep better, anywhere, anytime. And then in the subheading, it has the benefit, 100% darkness guaranteed. As you can see here, the call to action button is very outstanding with a yellow color, and it says get Manta Mask, a very clear call to action and a good prime example. Then a lot of pages have an action block where you have the primary call to action above the fold. You have to make sure to check that on different resolution. We can do that with resizemybrowser.com. Usually it's a common practice also to have a call to action below the fold, just above the footer section. Here's an action block. Don't have too much text. Again, people come to your landing pages and they're not reading it, and 1-2 seconds they usually have time to form an impression. Another thing to add here, that landing page visitors are usually first-time visitors, so you want to make sure to remove any excess text and highlight the primary features and benefits. Answer their primary questions. And again, have shorter paragraphs or even bullet points only. No clutter, no yelling. This is a great example. As you can see, there's a lot of room to breathe. It's clear, short text, clear call to action button and whatnot. And one more time, as I mentioned earlier, it's all about trust, trust, and trust, especially for those first-time visitors who don't have a shopping experience with you, because you elicit a specific conversion action on the landing page. This is why you tend to have an increase in anxiety. Put on some testimonials here, client logos, media mentions, guarantees, whatever you can assure your safety, make them feel safe. How long have you been in business for? How many customers do you have? All those play especially a big role on those landing pages. And trust symbols in close proximity to the conversion action are in close proximity to the conversion action. And as you remember, I gave plenty of examples here before. Another thing that might work for a lot of things, it can be tested. It should be tested again before implementing it finally, but it has been shown that in a lot of examples that can make a great benefit is an explainer video. The more professional, the better. Usually between 30 to 90 seconds, and you should treat them just like text. Keep them short, informative, objective, and high-pre. Here's an example of that. As you can see here, that's the headline, subheadline, some text, and the explainer video with a call to action on the bottom. So when it comes to the whole funnel approach, again, here it's also very, very important to have a consistent messaging from the ad, or where you get the traffic. When you lead them to the landing page, have the consistency there. That's the offer and the promotion should be consistent. The message should match, which is also a factor for your Google Ads performance, and it factors in the cost of your Google Ads because it improves the Google Ads quality score, where landing page experience is one factor of it. Then, fulfill your promise, do not bait and switch. It always backfires. As I told you with the ads example here, this is a bad example because it's very inconsistent. As you can see in the ad, they are talking about a skinny bundle. I cannot see any skinny bundle on the landing page. And they also mentioned that the price starts at around 40 bucks. And when you look at the website, it's 55 bucks. So there's something wrong. And as a visitor clicking on this ad, coming to this website, I would feel like something is wrong and I might not proceed here. On the other hand, we have a good example of this provider. As you can see, they stating the same as in the landing page here with 200 megabits, internet, and also the guarantees, and the price is around 90 bucks and 2 years guaranteed. So here you can see an example of consistent messaging. The last part of today's webinar is all about testing things. So when it comes to testing, keep in mind, I am not the expert. You are also not the expert, but your visitors are the experts. They will ultimately determine whether you succeed or not. So we have here, I'm highlighting the A/B split testing method, which is the most basic testing method that you can have. Here the traffic is split. Usually you have like your original control page. So that's really a scientific approach. You have a control page and an alternative version. You can also have like an A/B/C test where you test two different versions of it. And again, here the traffic is split evenly or almost evenly. And then you can see whatever change is converting better. You want to keep it testing until you have a significant amount of it. So you know for sure that your change is working fine, it's working smoothly, and it's increasing your conversion rate. And then you can go and implement, and if you want, keep on testing it for continuous growth. And split testing is an approach which applies not only for the landing page optimization here, but you would also do that in the PPC, Google AdWords, or Google Ads work. For example, when you test different ad copies with each other, which is also one process of an ongoing optimization task. All right. What are the advantages? It's the ease of test design, it's the ease of implementation, as mentioned before. You have very modern tools nowadays that you can do the A/B testing optimizely, or Google Optimize, for example, are two to mention. You can analyze it right away. There's just a few disadvantages, which is the limited number of recipes, and you don't have too many variable interactions. So there are also other methods, but because of the scope of this webinar, I won't go into them. You have one time the multivariate testing and also variable interaction. Okay. So to come to an end, what can you test? Just to give you a few main ideas. Those are the primary ideas. To test always different headlines. You can test different offers and promotions. For example, instead of saying I offer a 20% off deal, you can say I offer a $30 off deal. Test with the different variations, different wordings in it. You can test your call to action text, different images, different positions of that, background image, color schemes, moving parts, like the video, for instance, form fields and whatnot. Those are the primary tests. And of course, you can basically test almost everything on your landing page. Another thing that I want to mention here is a lot of times you might think you're getting tired of your web design, and people would then go and change the web design completely, like a radical web design, so to speak, which I cannot completely recommend to do so. It's more like when you have the example of a bomber, I think it's called B-52, or one of the big jets that throws bombs that's basically abroad, because you destroy your whole website. You don't know exactly what works and what does not work. And then you just go and create a new website, and then you have to check again, and it might even decrease your performance. You never know. A better approach here is similar to what the big e-commerce stores are doing, like Amazon or Zappos, is having the evolutionary redesign, where you keep on testing things and tweaking things and making sure you know actually what elements are improving your conversion rate and whatnot. So I'm now at the final slide of this webinar. One of the primary resources here is this great book, Landing Page Optimization by Tim Ash. That is, if you want to dig into deeper in what I talked about today and into much more detail, I highly recommend this book. Another example that I mentioned today when it comes to AIDA sales funnel is taken from the book Submit Now by Andrew Jack. And again, I would recommend it definitely for any marketer. Influence and Principles of Persuasion by Dr. Robert Cialdini. Cool. If you like this presentation webinar today, I have a free bonus offer for you. I'm providing you our e-commerce acceleration audit. I'm basically going on your website and identify a few spots that I talked about earlier. I will pick some low-hanging fruits and make recommendations to you. If you're interested into receiving this audit for free, then please email e-commerce acceleration audit with your details, like your website and your contact information, to marco@wonderads.agency, and I will get back to you in order to schedule a quick call. That's the end part, and if you have any questions, then you're happy to go and ask me now, and I'm happy to answer them. Well, then let's conclude the webinar here. I thank you so much for your attention. It's been great having you here. My philosophy is Kaizen. I'm always trying to improve myself and my work. If you have any feedback to me, please let me know. Reach out to me with the information that I'm providing here. I appreciate your honesty. Your honest feedback is the only way that I can improve. And for now, I'm saying thank you very much. Have a great day, night, and talk to you soon. Bye.